Hello and welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast with me, Lindsay White. I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs be great leaders, build high-performing teams, and create inspiring workplace cultures through innovative talent programs and practices. Because when people feel like they belong at work, they deliver their very best and businesses thrive. The Female Founder Friday podcast is all about connecting with the most incredible female entrepreneurs to talk about their journey to creating their own business, the mistakes they've made along the way, and how they view their own leadership. And I'm challenging all of my guests this season to take my leadership style quiz. And during each episode, we'll be digging into their leadership style and how it impacts the way they lead in their life and their business. And if you're interested in learning more about your leadership style and want some of my top tips to help you lead more effectively, you can take the quiz right now. Just check out the show notes or head over to 𝐈𝐧𝐞𝐳 and click on the button at the top of the page that says Take the Quiz. Then you can share your results, connect with my guests, and join the conversation on Instagram by following me at @HighVoltLeadership. Don't use the video at all, but if we go just even a little bit over that 30-minute mark, my other recording software actually tends to shut itself off. So I've got this up. New episode. I'm just going to turn off my notifications and I'm going to shut off my calendar because that's the stuff that tends to bing and bong a little bit. Okay, are you ready? Any questions or anything before we start?
No, I'm good to go.
Awesome. Fantastic. I have here today on the Female Founder Friday podcast, my new friend, Inez, who's come to talk to us a little bit about her really interesting journey as a female founder. Welcome. So glad to get to talk to you. It's been a long time coming, and I sure am glad to have you on the show here today.
Thank you, Lindsay. I am thrilled to be here.
Well, it's just such a pleasure because I know that you've had a very interesting, winding journey to being a female founder, and I'm super curious to get into it with you. So tell us about that journey, about how you got where you are today.
Yes, never in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to be leading a ship, or in my case today, multiple ships. I'm very happy with people telling me what to do. I'm a great direction taker. I'm really great at people giving me goals and saying, meet them. I'm really great with people giving me, challenges and saying, meet them. And so what I've found is being on the other side of that, to me, is much harder. I think managing people and leading people is like parenting. It's the hardest job out there.
It kind of is, though. I think you're right.
Yeah, when I first got my big job in management, I was managing product and loved it. I was great at keeping inventory at pars and ordering and really loved that and proved to be great at it, so that I was promoted to managing people. And I remember thinking, God, I'd much rather be managing product. Product doesn't talk back. Product isn't late. Product is just product. But I realized when you do a good job at managing anything, people automatically assume that you can be good at managing people. And so, in my case, I don't think I was a great manager of people starting out. I mean, at 46 years old, I can tell you every single thing I did wrong when it came to managing people. And I'm a work in progress. I have crucial conversations with people on a regular basis where I walk out and think, I friggin' blew that. like in the biggest way. I didn't feel good about it, and I'm pretty sure they didn't feel good about it. And yeah, so every day I struggle with that, and I think it's because I grew up as a people pleaser, as someone who didn't want to hurt people's feelings or let people down, and so hard conversations are really hard for me. You know, the person on the other end doesn't want to have them. I'm right there with them. I don't want to have them either.
I love that. I love that. Well, tell us. So you started out managing product. You were really, really good at that. How did you get to the point now where you're running these businesses?
Yeah. So, you know, my story is, and I write about it in my memoir, is that, you know, I lost my job as beverage director at Windows on the World in the One World Trade Center on 9/11.
Yes.
And that was, you know, my big, like, how could you get higher than that in my field, you know? Being at the largest grossing restaurant in the country, managing their cellar and their liquor and their everything beverage. And so I ended up regrouping, and my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, he also worked at Windows, and I was his boss, for better or for worse. So he can also attest to everything I've done wrong as a manager of people. But
I love it. Someone who was a witness. So I want to be clear. You were currently working at Windows on the World when 9/11 happened, Inez.
Yes. Yeah. And so I lost my job, you know, immediately, and he lost his job immediately. And we tried to stay in the city and you know, be a part of the rebuilding, and just I wasn't there emotionally. And my parents were begging me to come home, and their kind of pull was, why don't y'all open a restaurant and we will back it.
I love that.
I
I love
thought,
that you turned something that was truly devastating and tragic. I can only imagine for you. You've turned that now into something really beautiful and just taken off. Yes.
yeah, you know, taken off is high praise. We're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish in a small rural town in eastern North Carolina, who you know, whose main, like, accessibility with wine was white Zinfandel out of a box, right? You know,
Yeah. I love it.
we've been able to really create an amazing food and wine culture in our small town, in my small town, that very, very proud of. And yet, you know, it was not in the plan. You know, that was not the plan at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember when I told my dad I was going to go to culinary school, he said, whatever you do, don't own a restaurant. You know, it's the hardest work, and there's no money in it. And he was right. and yet we're getting ready to turn 20 years old in October.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is incredible. Can we just take a moment to celebrate that? 20 years in business in what is arguably one of the most challenging industries. Restauranting is not easy. The margins are slim. Certainly, I can imagine the people problems that you might have, but what a wonderful milestone, 20 years in business.
Yeah. And I'll add to the difficulties doing that with a partner who is a spouse. It's you're adding a whole nother heap of difficulty, because you're with your person 24/7, and you're struggling in your, like, day-to-day personal life, and then you're struggling in your professional life, and there's never a real break.
Yeah.
And you know, we've we've really done a lot of work personally and professionally to be able to, navigate that.
Yeah. I can
And
imagine.
yeah, it's work every day, inside the house and outside the house. And we opened the restaurant in '02, and when we realized that something was going to have to give, either the restaurant or our marriage, I ended up transitioning out of the restaurant to lead a brewery that we had opened. And so I'm president of Tarboro Brewing Company now, which we are one of several owners, investors, and he runs the restaurant, and then I run the brewery now, which 5 years ago we opened up a satellite location of our brewery. So, I have my hands in 3 different businesses, all food and beverage.
Yeah.
And excited to be a founder of all 3,
Yeah.
And to do that in rural Eastern North Carolina, which is place that I was born and raised, is all the more special, to be able to give back and bring something that I can't imagine, having had when I was growing up.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I sort of understood that your brewery was very successful, that you were really seeing great things there. And I love that. A female founded brewery. You don't find that very often at all.
Right, because most females are smarter than I am.
No, I love that. I really love that. That is that really is a male dominated space. And we hear a lot about that. I mean, microbreweries are really growing and really bringing incredible, interesting, creative product to the market. But really, you exist amongst a very few number of women that have started and successfully grown a brewery to a stage even where they can think about expanding beyond one location. So again, even more to celebrate how wonderful that is, and to be in your hometown and to grow industry in that space that you love is truly beautiful. And I can only imagine how challenging that might be to keep that space in between your relationship and your work. But it sounds like 20 years later, you've navigated it. I mean, you're still married and you still have the business. So I'm sure every day is a challenge, but wow, I mean, that's pretty good legacy right there.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very grateful. I think gratitude is the most underrated. All I have is gratitude every day of what I've been given. And
I love that. Now, you mentioned at the beginning that, one of your biggest challenges is the people aspect of these businesses. And I actually thought it was really profound what you said, that you were a great product manager. You loved doing all of those things. And as a result, got promoted to directly managing and leading people. And you're right. I think a lot of time people do get promoted. They're really good at their job in a technical way. Oh, well, of course you can just lead the whole team. That seems obvious on the outside, but it doesn't always work on the flip side, does it?
Nope, it does not. And it did. I don't think it worked with me. I think probably there are plenty of people who along my path who've been like, wow, she was terrible. And I'll give them that, because I also felt like I was terrible when I was having these difficult conversations, and one of the things that I've learned, and I work with the leadership coach regularly, is the first, like, if I'm dreading this conversation that I'm getting ready to have with whoever, the best thing I can do as soon as we sit down is name that. And say, look, I am feeling so anxious. I am feeling so uncomfortable. I don't want to have this conversation either, but I just need you to know, like, as your person, as your team leader, as the person who wants this company to grow and be the best company, we have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not excited about it. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I am nervous. I'm gonna stutter,
Yeah.
which is what I do. I start stuttering and because I just don't want to tell people things that might make them feel bad. Right.
No.
And people don't name that a lot. For most people, that doesn't feel good. There may be some people out there who really like to tell people things that make them feel bad, or
Yeah.
I think I'm in the majority.
I think you're right.
The bulk of us don't like that.
No, I don't think there's many of us that do. And first of all, let me say, good for you for finding a great leadership coach to help you with that. And, shameless plug for leadership coaches, which I am one of, snaps for that. Yeah. Having a great coach that you connect with and that you can find the resources from, right? They can support you and guide you and help you in finding your own leadership superpowers. That is an incredible investment in yourself, but also in your business. Mm-hmm. So shameless plug for that. Good for you. Because that's vulnerability. Like, you have to be open to that, right? But I think you just made a really valuable point and a great lesson for anyone that's listening. When you are deeply uncomfortable with a feedback conversation, you have to deliver difficult news to somebody. Just saying that, I am deeply uncomfortable. The last thing I want to do here is hurt your feelings. But I have something important I need to share with you in order for you to grow, in order for me to grow, and in order for the business to grow. Like, let's just sort of set the table for a great conversation with those pieces right from the start. And I think sometimes as leaders in our business, we feel like we can't be vulnerable in that way. But, we shouldn't say that. In fact, the opposite is true. And you're nodding. So I know that this is meaningful for you, but I think that that's a beautiful, beautiful little tool. Just say it out loud. Talk about the discomfort. And in that, we can create a space where everyone can feel like they can share.
Right. Somewhere along the way, I don't know when or where it was, but we, unfortunately gave vulnerability a negative connotation. And I don't think there is anything negative about being vulnerable. I think to me, vulnerability is in line with being honest and clear. If people would say so many times, like I think about the times I'm in a kitchen and, in the kitchen a million years ago when I was doing my internship and, it was in the middle of service and it was heated. If the chef had come up to me before, like screaming at me, like, what's wrong with you? But like, hey, I own this along with 18 other investors and I got to pay a lot of people back. And when I say I need this food now, like, I'm not just saying it because I'm this blowhard or because I'm trying, but I'm saying it because my livelihood depends on it. I think I might have been able to really get in line with that, and if I couldn't, then I'm not the right person on his team or her team. But like, when we know what people are really aiming for and what drives them, whether it's paying back an investor, whether it's, creating something really monumental for their community, whatever the drive is. I think vulnerability is in line with like telling people your mission and your vision.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You know what? I think that's one of the most important roles we have as a founder of our business, is to really be able to tell that story, share that vision, share that passion. And when we share that, others can see that. And they can find a space for themselves. Oh, Inez is really passionate about growing this brewery in this community because she knows how much excitement and energy and money it's going to bring to this area. I get to be a part of that. I can help with that. I can help grow the brand through the service I provide. I can help be a referral. I can bring other people to work in this business because I share with them how much fun and energy we have here. Like, telling that story and really painting that compelling vision is a really important role we play, isn't it?
Very. It's very important.
Yeah, I love that. I think those are two really great, really important points. Be vulnerable in your communication, acknowledge your discomfort. Being clear is actually being kind, telling them what they need to know to get better as an employee. That's important.
Right.
Just say it. Now, you don't have to be mean-spirited about it. I'm sure you never are. It occurs to me you are a very kind-hearted person. So delivering that information they need with kindness helps them get better, helps the whole team get better. And then, yeah, really illustrating why you're doing this, helping them see how it can be important for them. Those are really awesome lessons, Inez, for any female founder. Thank you so much for offering those. So the next part of this conversation, I'm going to ask Inez what her leadership style is. She's already taken my leadership style quiz. You can find a link to that in the show notes. You can also find a link to that quiz on my website, 𝐈𝐧𝐞𝐳 There's a button there to take the quiz, and you can find out what your leadership style is. See if it's the same here as what Inez is going to talk about a little bit. So tell us, what's your leadership style?
So I believe from your quiz, mine is a hybrid of supporting / coaching.
Wow.
And I will say that, I aspire to be a supporter and a coacher. I hope that one day that's where I will be. I will excel. I have a really hard time. So I definitely lead by example. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to change the toilet paper or the paper towel roll. I'm going to take the glass rack to the dishwasher. And the way I lead is I don't want to have to tell you to do it.
Yeah.
I want you to see me do it, and you want to do it too.
Right.
And so I'm the opposite of directing or delegating, unfortunately, to my detriment. I think when I take your leadership quiz, like the success model is a quarter, right? Like,
sure it is. Yeah.
Director, supporter, coacher, and delegator, because I really think all four are extremely important. So maybe that's what I should aspire. But I support and coach in the ways that I know how, and I do that the best when people come to me and say they are excited about something.
Yes.
And then I want to say, hey, I want this to be yours. I want you to own this.
Yeah.
And I want you to take it, and I'm going to be right behind you. And I'm going to say, do it the way you want to do. And then I'm going to coach around it. And I think those are my strengths. Could I be stronger? Absolutely.
What? Leadership is a journey, isn't it? It
all
is about continuous growth as a leader. But I think you made a really critical point. And that is that we need to be able to lead differently in a variety of situations, don't we? And so at moments in time, we do need to be directing. We need to be very clear about what we want done and how we want it done. We also need to be, at moments in time, effective delegators, given different things, people doing different things all over the place, and being able to manage sort of over top of that. Being coaching, helping people find the solution that's right for them, being that guide as a leader. And then, of course, supporting them, right? Motivating, helping remove roadblocks, empowering, all those things. And I love that you pointed that out, that we need to be able to leverage all of those leadership superpowers at different moments with different people at different times in our business. So really beautifully said. But I love the vulnerability there, in that, I'm still a work in progress. I am too. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still feel like, my leadership constantly needs to evolve and grow. So I think that is just brilliant.
Well, and I think to your point, Lindsay, there are people that you are going to lead who won't be told what to do, right? They just want they want to come into work and you give them a directive or directives.
Yeah.
And they're going to work excellent that way.
Yeah.
And they're going to be people who, like, they want to have the creativity or kind of the on their own, where you
Oh.
want to support and coach them. And then there are people that are going to say, like, I am your second person. I'm right here beside you. Delegate this, delegate that. And so that's that's the difficulty of leadership. You got to know all your people intimately and know what style of leadership they crave or that they best do, and so it's just not one size fits all, right? Like, as leaders, we have to figure out what type of leadership each of our person excels best under.
I think you're absolutely right. And on the flip side, I think as leaders, we need to have awareness. Where do we lean to? Which leadership style is the one that fits the best? It feels like those comfy sweatpants almost. And then which style of leadership are we not that awesome at? And do we need to grow? And how are we going to find that leading edge where we can continue our own development as a leader? I want to ask you, how do you now, founding 3 businesses, 20 years in business, what do you do to really hone in on what your team needs as individuals from you as a leader? What do you do there?
I know I get best results when I spend one-on-one time with my people.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Sure.
Because when you spend one-on-one time with people, you're not seeing instant return on investment in terms of money coming into the business.
Right.
And so as someone whose businesses are, completely dependent on sales.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm like out in the market every day selling beer to restaurants and bottle shops and bars. And I'm thinking, hey, I don't know how valuable me sitting down with so-and-so and just going to eat lunch and, just talking.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
Yeah.
Because if they feel heard and appreciated.
Yes.
And yet at the same time have a clear understanding of what you're doing every day, it's just automatic. And I like, just hearing myself say this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't do it enough.
Right.
And it's hard. It's hard as leaders, because there's a little bit of me that's like, oh my gosh, just do what you're supposed to do.
Yes. Yes. No, I hear that all the time from my clients. Why don't they just do what they've been hired to do? So I don't think you're alone in sort of having that thought, that question sort of loud in your head. But Inez, I think it's really that, again, another great little nugget here for the listeners today, that no, the one-on-one time, those conversations that you have with your individual employees, you're right. When you look at it from a purely expense perspective, it's hitting your payroll line, and it's also time that you're not selling, or you're not doing, or you're not, looking after your customers. However, the long-term impacts for the individual and your business more than pay off, don't they? And so we have to be a bit strategic and a bit long in our view in order to have really great leadership and really high performing teams. It's not an immediate ROI.
Right. That's right.
I think that's important, because we tend to be a little short-sighted sometimes. And actually we do ourselves, our team, and our business a disservice if we don't make this investment, is the way I would put it. You're nodding. So that makes sense to you.
Yeah. We have to invest in our people. And, for a lot of businesses, certainly in ours, turnover is fairly rampant.
100%.
And, my husband has this saying, like, for the first 3 months, we're working for you versus you working for us.
Yeah.
And, me in particular, I need to see buy-in before I can start putting myself out there. Now, once I see buy-in, I am yours.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's really a 1 in 10 circumstance where you have that superstar who comes in and buys in before seeing any buy-in from you.
Right.
Really, we've got, as leaders, we have to buy in first.
Beautifully said.
And then things progress. And I just, it's hard work to take your time, right? Like Oprah says on Soul Conversation, Super Soul, time is the most valuable thing we have.
Truly.
And so, do I want to take 20 minutes at the end of my day when I can book it out and be with my kids, my partner, do my yoga, whatever, have my glass of wine, have my beer? Do I want to take that 20 minutes and like shoot, talk shop with so-and-so? I probably don't, but I will regret it because that 20 minutes could be 2 years.
Yes. You know what? I think that's beautifully articulated. You're right. We cannot create more time. We cannot add a 25th hour to our day. And as female founders, every single one of those 24 hours usually counts. But when we do not invest in our team, when we do not give them our time and attention, they do not feel valued. They do not feel seen and heard, and they'll never feel like they really belong. And isn't that what we want with our high performing teams? That's what motivates people. That's what gets them to invest the extra in our business, is when we invest in them.
100%. 1,000%.
Yeah, beautifully said. Inez, thank you so much. There have been so many valuable nuggets in this conversation today, and really, I think really practical things that we can all, including myself, take away, reflect on, and really think about, how do we do a few more of these things in our business? Small things that can end up making a huge impact for our team, for our bottom line, but also for ourself and how we lead from the inside out. So I'm really grateful that you were able to find the time in your busy schedule to join me here. Thank you so much for all of this.
Lindsay, thank you so much for having me. I'm in awe of your leadership coaching and of being here on your podcast.
Oh, it's just been a pleasure. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I sure hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did hosting this conversation. And if you did enjoy today's episode, would you do me a favor? Would you give the episode a 5-star review and share it with all of your friends? I would really appreciate that. I've got a goal to impact 1,000 female founders, and with your help, we can really amplify this message. Thanks again for being a part of the show, and don't forget to connect with me and all of my guests on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. We'll see you next Friday.